You sit there longer than you need to. The app is open, but you are not really looking at it. Your thumb hovers, then pulls back. You already know what you are going to see, and that is the problem. It is not the number itself, it is the feeling that comes with it. Tight chest, small pause, that quiet thought that says you should be better at this by now. You tell yourself you will check later, after work, after dinner, after you feel more ready. But later turns into tomorrow, and tomorrow turns into weeks. The balance stays untouched, not because you do not care, but because caring feels heavy. It feels personal, like proof of something you failed to become. Here's the thing. When people talk about money stress, they talk about bills, debt, or income. What they do not talk about is the shame that sits underneath all of it, the kind that makes you avoid simple choices, the kind that turns neutral numbers into judgment. You are not panicking. You are not reckless. You are just tired of feeling behind. So you keep things quiet. You do not bring it up. You act normal. And on the outside, nothing looks wrong. But inside, money feels like a mirror you do not want to stand in front of anymore. This feels hard because your brain is not treating money like math. It is treating it like risk. When stress has been part of your life for a long time, your mind stays in survival mode. Survival mode is not logical. It is fast, protective, and emotional. Its only job is to keep you safe right now, not to help you plan ahead. In that state, every money choice feels heavier than it should. Saving feels like loss. Looking at balances feels like judgment. Even small decisions drain you. Not because you lack discipline, but because your system is already overloaded. You are using energy just to stay steady. Here's the truth. Scarcity thinking does not come from low income alone. It comes from pressure without relief. When money has caused stress before, your brain learns to avoid it. Avoidance becomes a shield. If you do not look, you cannot feel the threat. But that same shield blocks progress too. You may understand money rules. You may know what you should do. That does not matter when your body feels unsafe. Stress shrinks your thinking. It pushes you towards short-term comfort and away from long-term calm. That is not failure. That is a nervous system doing what it was trained to do. So when you feel stuck, it is not because you are weak. It is because your brain has learned that money equals danger, and danger is something it tries to escape, not solve. $5,000 does not sound extreme. On paper, it is not rich money. It does not change your life overnight. But emotionally, this number carries weight. It feels like a line you are not supposed to cross. Like something that belongs to more responsible people, more stable people, not you. Here's why it feels threatening. Until this point, money comes and goes. It pays bills, fixes problems, disappears. But when savings start to grow, money becomes visible. It sits there, it watches you, and suddenly, every past mistake feels close. Every wrong choice feels recorded. That is uncomfortable. So many people circle this number for years. They get close, then something happens. A trip, a purchase, an excuse that sounds reasonable in the moment. It is not always about need. Often, it is relief. Spending becomes a way to escape the pressure of holding something you are afraid to lose. The truth is, this is where shame gets quiet but powerful. Part of you wants safety. Another part feels undeserving of it. So you stay just below the line where things still feel familiar, where struggle feels normal, where you do not have to prove anything to yourself. Crossing this number is not about money skill. It is about tolerating stability without self-sabotage. And that is harder than most people expect, because it forces you to sit with a version of yourself you are not fully comfortable trusting yet. When you cross this point, something quiet changes inside you. Not your income, not your lifestyle, your self-image. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is always reacting. You start seeing yourself as someone who can hold things steady without rushing to fix or escape them. This is not about being smart with money. You were already smart. It is about trust. For the first time, you prove to yourself that you can delay comfort without falling apart, that you can sit with uncertainty and not let it run the show. That matters more than the number itself. Before this, money decisions were driven by relief. You spent to feel okay. You avoided to stay calm. Control felt temporary, something you borrowed and then lost again. After this shift, control feels internal. It comes from your behavior, not from luck or timing. Here's the uncomfortable part. This new identity can feel unfamiliar. You may even miss the old tension. Chaos was noisy, but it was known. Stability is quiet, and quiet can feel empty at first. That does not mean something is wrong. It means your nervous system is adjusting. At this point, panic stops being your default setting. Discipline is no longer forced. It becomes part of who you are. Not because you are trying harder, but because you finally trust yourself to stay in control without watching everything fall apart. When money stops feeling like a threat, your thoughts slow down. Not because life gets easier, but because your mind is no longer scanning for danger all the time. You notice it first in small moments. You do not rush decisions. You pause without forcing it. The noise in your head lowers just enough for clarity to show up. Spending changes in a quiet way. You are not strict. You are not careless. You simply feel less pulled. You can want something without needing it to fix your mood. That space between impulse and action grows, and inside that space, you breathe. Your focus shifts too. Before, money took up background energy all day. Even when you were not thinking about it, it was there. A tight feeling, a low hum of stress. As that fades, attention comes back. You listen better. You think longer. You finish things without jumping ahead to worry. Here's the truth. This calm does not come from having more. It comes from not feeling hunted by the future. When your brain believes there is room to make a mistake without collapse, it relaxes. And when it relaxes, it works better. You gain emotional space, not excitement, not pride. Space. Enough room to think clearly, respond instead of react, and make choices without your body pushing you toward escape or relief. That shift changes how everything else feels. When money feels less tight inside you, it changes how you show up everywhere else. At work, you speak a little slower. You listen without rushing to please. You do not feel the same need to prove your value in every moment. That shift is subtle, but people feel it. Confidence here is not loud, it is steady. You are less reactive to pressure because your mind is not running worst-case stories in the background. When a decision comes up, you can sit with it. You do not grab the first safe option just to calm your nerves. You weigh things instead of escaping them. Boundaries become easier too. Not perfect, but clearer. You are less afraid of small risks, like saying no, asking questions, or pushing back gently. You are not trying to win. You are trying to stay aligned. That changes the tone of every conversation. Here's the truth. When money stops feeling like an emergency, your choices stop being fear-based. You start to feel that you have time. Time to think. Time to respond. Time to walk away if something does not fit. That sense of choice is powerful, not because it makes life exciting, but because it gives you real options instead of forcing you to survive moment to moment. After hitting this number, many people feel a quiet release. The pressure eases, the fear backs off, and that relief can be dangerous. Not because relief is bad, but because the brain reads it as safety earned, not safety to protect. Here's what happens. You tell yourself you deserve something: a break, a reward, a return to normal. It sounds fair, it feels justified, but underneath, something else is happening. Old shame looks for comfort. It wants proof that you are no longer stressed, no longer behind. Spending becomes emotional medicine, not a choice. This is where progress slips away. Not through one big mistake, but through small permissions. A little looseness here, a little less care there. You are not being reckless. You are soothing a part of yourself that never learned how to sit with stability. The truth is, false safety feels exciting. Real safety feels boring. And boring can trigger discomfort if your nervous system is used to tension. So you recreate motion, you recreate urgency, and slowly, the number you worked so hard to reach starts drifting backward, not because you failed, but because you confused relief with security. What needs to change here is not your strategy. It is how you relate to calm. When stability shows up, your instinct may be to use it, test it, or prove it is real by enjoying it fast. That urge is understandable. It comes from years of feeling behind. But this is where patience matters. Here's the thing. Stability is fragile at first, not because it is weak, but because your nervous system is still learning to trust it. Treating it like a prize can put it back at risk. Treating it like something to protect gives it time to settle in your body. This means slowing down emotionally, letting the calm feel plain, letting it feel boring, not asking it to make you happy or confident right away, just letting it exist without pressure. That restraint is not fear, it is respect. The truth is, real progress often feels quiet. No rush, no big release, just fewer sharp edges in your day. When you defend stability instead of celebrating it away, you give yourself something rare. Time to adjust, time to trust yourself, time to build a sense of safety that does not disappear the moment life asks more from you. If you look ahead a few years, the version of you who feels steady is not dramatic. They are not rushing. They are not proving anything. They move through money decisions without the tight feeling you know so well. Not because they became fearless, but because safety came first. This future version of you does not think about money all the time. It sits in the background, quiet and managed. When something unexpected happens, it feels manageable, not threatening. That calm did not come from chasing more. It came from learning how to hold enough without undoing it. The truth is, wealth does not begin with growth. It begins with stability you can live inside without discomfort. When safety becomes familiar, progress stops feeling urgent, it becomes steady, and from that place, choices are clearer, pressure is lower, and money finally works the way it was always supposed to.